afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, welcome once more to another video podcast of Political News Time. Coming to you from the PNT Live Network, I am your hostess, Alex Mayers. Now, tonight's going to be a fairly quick show. I hope that all of you out there had a wonderful day today. Initially, I was a huge supporter and advocate for the Black Lives Matter movement. But as I went over this morning, I don't support it any longer, primarily due to the issue of this Defund the Police push being attached to it. I absolutely, positively do not agree with defunding the police. Another reason as to why I no longer can support the Black Lives Matter movement is because the individuals who seem to be promoting the movement most, and even the individuals who the movement seems to be catering to at this point, they don't tend to like people like myself. Independent, driven, Black women. Not at all. And as I get into this podcast, you're going to see what I'm talking about. I would like to read to you a statement that has been posted on politicalnewstime.com as well as pornnewstoday.com. As of June 24th, 2020, politicalnewstime.com of the PNT Live Network and Porn News Today does not support the Black Lives Matter movement, primarily due to not supporting the Defund the Police push and many promoting Black Lives Matter, not treating Black women with respect. Actually, before I finish up with that, I also want to read to you some tweets that I posted a bit earlier today that I feel do outline my thoughts fairly concisely in regards to what I'm discussing this evening. For close to a decade, I've studied how organized crime groups operate in regards to sex trafficking, and I'm worried that if this Defund the Police push happens, sex trafficking will increase. I think key adult industry figures support Black Lives Matter because they profit off sex trafficking, and I don't just think it, I believe I know it. The moment I saw certain individuals and groups linked to the adult industry support Black Lives Matter was the moment that I knew something was wrong, because the people I'm referring to aren't only quietly racist. Over the years, they've made it known that they want me, a Black woman, dead. There is a very negative energy attempting to utilize Blacks as a mask or a shield to conceal something else going on. I can just feel it. I do not support many of the issues that have been linked to BLM. To my knowledge, as of current, Political News Time and Porn News Today are the only media outlets that are openly not supporting Black Lives Matter since the Defund the Police push was attached to it. I do also want to note that the current CEO of the Free Speech Coalition, Michelle LeBlanc, initially, from what I could see, she was one of the first to get on board when it came to the Black Lives Matter movement, when it came to being somebody of influence, a power player in the industry, supporting that movement. And for her, I commend it, because when she first got on board, the movement seemed pure. The movement specifically seemed to be about supporting people of color, supporting Black men and women. But this movement has progressed very quickly, and many of the themes that the movement seemed to be revolving around when it began are not themes that are being touched on today. In fact, earlier today, again, on Facebook, I'm thinking that maybe I need to take a break from Facebook again, considering some of the things that have been happening on there. But someone who I haven't talked to or communicated with in years, who never sends me a Facebook message, an individual known as Jackson Wheeler, made a comment towards my speaking out about no longer feeling that Black Lives Matter is for me on Facebook. And he attempted to tell me how he thought I should feel. And then he proceeded to bully and insult another acquaintance of mine. Now, what's interesting about Jackson Wheeler and his support of Black Lives Matter is that Jackson Wheeler is not black. No, he is not. And in the past, there have been some questionable things revolving around him when it's come to the bullying of a young woman who unfortunately did take her own life. Now, what's interesting about that situation is that I spoke extensively with Jackson Wheeler at that time, and I was led to believe by him that he had no ill intent toward her. However, considering his aggression toward me on Facebook today, I'm wondering if my assessment was wrong. I truly am. Because again, he is not African American, he is not black, yet he's attempting to tell me, an authentic black woman, how I should feel by default. As an American, absolutely not. You don't get to do that with me. No. Another individual I noticed within the adult entertainment industry who seems to be a very strong advocate and voice for Black Lives Matter, strangely so, is an individual known as Manuel Ferrara, who as of current is contending with quite a few allegations of aggression, workplace aggression, on-set sexual assault aggression, okay? Quite a few women have come forward in regards to issues that they've had with him. But since these women have come forward, all of a sudden, he appears to be hiding behind the shield of Black Lives Matter. Now, he is, again, an individual who is not African American. He is not black. What I was thinking about today is that, well, perhaps Black Lives Matter is for him, because someone like him, at least from my perspective, would have an agenda to defund the police. Why? Because he is an adult entertainment industry professional whose product directly enables the horrendous issue of sex trafficking within the United States of America. What do I mean by that? Well, Manuel Ferrara is a pornographer. And what is pornography today? Today, pornography is no more, in a multitude of cases, no more than a digital multimedia advertisement for illegal prostitution. Quite a high percentage of active porn stars work double duty as illegal prostitutes. Without a doubt, the adult entertainment industry is linked to sex trafficking. You can look at this in the mainstream media. KTLA of California recently reported on how one of the most prominent adult entertainment industry talent agencies, an agency known as LA Direct Models, was found to be engaged, and they were charged with sex trafficking. They were engaged in sex trafficking, they were charged with sex trafficking, and the sex trafficking group that they are affiliated with, something called the Luxury Companion, was charged as well. Now, what's interesting about LA Direct Models, and specifically the Luxury Companion, is that for quite a few years they contracted a woman to do professional work for them online work which enabled the marketing of young women, young vulnerable women who they were found to be sex trafficking. A woman known, well, it's questionable as to whether it's only a woman, but at least the face of this group, known as Kelli Roberts, is a woman. She was contracted, as I said, with the Luxury Companion and LA Direct Models. And today, she is working directly with the failed, defunct adult industry union known as APAC, which as of current has a leader who is prominently supporting Black Lives Matter. Though in the past, she has displayed blatant racism and blatant unethical and unprofessional activity towards African Americans. And what's very scary about the situation is that you have media outlets in the adult entertainment industry such as XBiz who are not only entertaining the request of individuals who are supporting Black Lives Matter for no other reason than to promote themselves and to apparently further enable sex trafficking, but they seem to be actively linking Black active talent to their support of Black Lives Matter. Black active talent that I feel either isn't educated enough as to what's going on or who simply has no choice in the matter but to go along with it. I suppose just to conclude, what's going on with Black Lives Matter today and a lot of the bad behavior that it seems to be condoning, such as defacing national monuments and calling for aggression against professional law enforcement. Yes, there are law enforcement officers who have done the wrong thing, hence the George Floyd incident. But throughout my lifetime, I have found that most law enforcement officers are pretty good people. And as a whole, I don't feel that law enforcement officers deserve the kind of attitude that they're receiving from individuals who claim to support Black Lives Matter for ethical reasons, but from my perspective, are supporting it for reasons that could quite likely be linked to organized crime. In a lot of third world countries, the downfalls of their civilizations start with a bit of what we're looking at today. As an American woman, I don't want to see in my lifetime the United States of America turn into a third world country. I feel like my parents worked too hard for that to happen. And over the past few years, I've made a pledge to myself to work as hard as I can for that not to happen. And I'm not a parent. I don't have any children. But I know other people have children, and I want them to have a similar experience that I had, at least in my childhood up to my teens, as an American citizen. So before you just jump on the bandwagon of supporting Black Lives Matter, you need to think, and you need to take a good look around as to who is attached to it. And you have to look at issues that have nothing to do with what it is to be an African American being attached to it. There's a multitude of issues attached to it right now, aside from Defund the Police, that have absolutely nothing to do with who I am as an individual. And most likely who you are if you are watching me as an individual. So just think about these things. Who wants to really defund the police? People involved in criminal activity, that too. People with criminal records, that too. People who want destruction and mayhem, that too. And absolutely people who are involved in sex trafficking. That is who, above all else, from my perspective, want a defunding of the police to happen. In my opinion, the police need more funding so that individuals within their departments can become far more educated in regards to recognizing the signs of sex trafficking, in regards to taking these pimps to task and stopping the suffering of so many daughters within the United States of America. So I'm going to go ahead and let that be the end of this particular podcast. As I said, this was going to be a short and sweet one. But tomorrow we'll talk about a bit more. I actually want to share some commentary in regards to the speech that Trump just gave in Oklahoma. I took some time to watch that today. And I also took some time to watch a recent speech from Biden. And gosh, those two candidates, they really are night and day. And I so wish that they could both be replaced by individuals from a bit younger of a generation. Because I'll tell you, Trump is one hell of a showman, but it's funny. He almost comes off as being a bit more of a Democrat than a Republican, when he speaks. And then you got Biden, who's the polar opposite of that. And I can see why Biden was a VP to Obama, because I think he needed a front man who was a bit more charismatic. Hence the Obama. If Biden does want to win, he'll find a front man again. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.